Hello, my name is Kevin Lewis, and I have the honor and privilege of being a police officer. I have been a police officer for 9 years. Before that, I was in the Marine Corps Reserves. I am by no means perfect. I have my faults. But I felt the calling to make this video just as I felt the calling to join law enforcement. I know that tensions have been high around our country and around the world. When I was in college, I chose to do an assignment on racism. One thing from that assignment has always stuck with me. I interviewed other students from all different races. Every time I asked a minority student if they had ever experienced racism, their faces went somber, and every one of them answered yes. Their answers varied from threats of violence to damaged property. The underlying expression was always the same. Others' actions had made them feel less than equal. When I asked the same question to my fellow white students, they looked confused. Every one of them answered no, as if the only racism in existence was men hiding their faces in white sheets in some distant place. It wasn't that they didn't believe that it existed, but they had never had first-hand knowledge of it. I recently read an article of a black man taking his daughter or dog on his walks around his neighborhood, not to keep them safe, but to keep himself safe. He was worried that he would be deemed as suspicious and have the police called on him. It broke my heart to read his post. But I know exactly what he's talking about. I've handled calls that would not have been called if the suspect was not black. Did I handle the call any differently? Of course not. I can tell you this. I am willing to risk my life to save you or your family's lives, no matter what your race, who you are, what you believe. I am willing to run into gunfire, a burning building, or any other number of dire circumstances. To put that into perspective, I am willing to leave the love of my life as a widow, to give up spending our golden years together exploring the world, to give up giving away my daughter and having one last dance. I'm willing to do that for you, a total stranger. And I know that millions of my brothers and sisters in law enforcement around the world are prepared to do the same thing. Most police officers are working 2 or more jobs to support their families, which includes me. Most of us don't have the time to decompress after seeing the worst of our world. The harsh reality of law enforcement is dealing with horrific accident scenes, gruesome homicides, death scenes of all ages, and many other high-stress incidents. To my fellow officers, know your limits and know yourselves. If you need a moment or a day to collect yourselves, do it. Be honest with yourself and others, and confront any bias or stereotypes you might unknowingly carry. To the supervisors, get to know your officers. Keep an eye on their mental health and well-being. Make mental health and support system an integral part of supervising your officers. There's no shame on leaning on someone to offload the evil we deal with daily. To the politicians, pay these men and women a wage so they don't have to work more than one job. An officer working 2 jobs to make ends meet causes stress at home, further adding to their already heavy burden. This only makes them more apt to make mistakes or decisions out of anger or frustration. It helps retain good officers to train upcoming generations. It stops officers from becoming burnt out and quitting. And one thing's for sure, it's cheaper than lawsuits. To the citizens, if you see an officer out in public, and he's not on a detail or she's not on a detail, ask them how their day is going. If they are short with you, be forgiving. You have no idea what kind of scene they just came from and is weighing heavy on their minds. To my fellow white citizens, expose yourself to someone else's world. Ask someone of another race about their life experiences and what they have gone through. We live in an imperfect and brutal world. The answer is not burning it to the ground, which will only polarize our society more. No, I am not going to kneel with you, but I will stand up for what is right.